Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm CEO at Real Wireless, and also here speaking in my capacity as a chair of the UK 5G Advisory Group, the International Working Group, and also I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for the Small Cell Forum, which is highly interested in private networks as a deployment model. Just a quick intro on Real Wireless so you understand the perspective. We're a consultancy and advisory firm. We do advise the public sector, but we're principally driven or working in the private sector. But the way we look at our addressable market for our consulting practices is across the wireless industry and the wireless users. So I'm going to talk about some simple models or ways in which the private network investment and in partnership to some extent with the public operators was able to pump prime some growth pathways for some innovation around 5G networks. The 4 steps that I'm going to just highlight here are to indicate the approach that was taken by the UK government, and maybe they can fit for other governments and nations as well. So the agency that was looking at encouraging the adoption of 5G in the UK identified through various studies priority areas. And based on those areas, an initial investment, capital investment, went into 3 universities that were already on the cutting edge of the development of principally core network, but also radio access network technologies, KCN in London, Bristol and Surrey. And there was a substantial investment of a few million into it, primarily core networking technologies and the 5G standalone implementation. So that location, some of the technologies from Surrey were imported into this trials location, along with bringing some industrial partners along. And this was a private network deployment, thinking around the concept of neutral host architectures. Then in the second phase of investment, Telefonica, who's a large public mobile operator in the UK, were bought into the project. And there was an investment in integrating that private network with a neutral host platform into the public operator. Now, imagine many of those different progressions in terms of the scaling of the technology, testbed, and then usage happening in many locations in the UK. And over a period of 4 or 5 years of investment, or 3-4 years of investment, you can see that we've identified, and I won't claim that all of this is by design, this is by really enabling innovation and proposals to come in to the ecosystem, and then placing some strategic investments from government and from industry. One of the benefits is that this is a report that Real Wireless did for UK 5G as an organization. You could start to learn things about the supply side capability with respect to private networks, and also identifying some of the shortcomings or issues. This report is available as a link on this slide. Some high-level views that we came out with in terms of the solutions. There are many solutions that are emerging. Some of that could be as a result of the discussion that Cohen mentioned about there are so many bits of spectrum that are available potentially for private networks, which is good potentially in terms of innovation. Now the challenge is how do we scale on some particular solutions, and that is something that needs to be resolved. When we started to open up the test beds and the capabilities and start talking into the vertical sectors, for me, this is when things got really interesting. So talking within the wireless industry and the supply chain is all very well. But once you've deployed the network and then you've enabled innovation working into the vertical sectors, then things really start to happen in terms of the demand side and the consolidation in terms of making the critical success factors for the markets to start to take off. But things are changing and moving on. That's history, really. The UK is now moving into a space where we're starting a new generation of innovative approaches, and a lot of this is linked to the diversification and an open network agenda that the UK supply side ecosystem is focused on these days. I'm going to read through all of these, but these are 3 competitions that are being run by the government, and rather like with UK 5G, these activities start to create the narrative in terms of the next generation of networking technologies and how they will fit together and how they will play in public and private networks. A lot of the word open used here, open radio access, open networks going towards future networks and 6G. So some of these programs are well advanced, like Sonic, but the FONRC project, which is starting in the next couple of months, will all be overseen by a new organisation as UK 5G starts to sunset. The brand is going to disappear slowly from material, and a new organisation that was launched at the beginning of this year, and the branding was announced yesterday on social media. UK Telecoms Innovation Network, UKTIN for short, has been created. It's in the early stages of formulating its ecosystem management model, and it will be charged with creating similar success stories to UK 5G in terms of the tracing of the technologies through out of the university research domain through into the industrial sector, first into the wireless the wireless industry space, and then ultimately over time looking at those adoption pathways into the vertical sectors as well. So a lot of detail on these slides, but really hopefully that's given you a flavour of the progress. Any details you're interested in, there's an email address there. You can contact me and I'm happy to give further information.